So let me start again. Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Pedicola of Second Chance Secrets of Life and Death. And what I want to talk to you about today is a very interesting subject of intimacy and coaching. Now, the theme for this week right now is intimacy. And I've been talking about how, in some of my other Facebook Lives, how to bring intimacy into your life, into your relationship with family and your partner or your husband or your spouse. But today I want to talk about intimacy and coaching because your mentor, the person who is influencing the way in which you grow and develop in your life, has a huge impact on you if you let them. And that is my definition of intimacy, is when you allow somebody to touch you, not necessarily physically, but emotionally and mentally, and in the way in which that you view the world, your paradigm. Coaches can have a huge influence, especially when you surrender to them. Now, I have a lot of experience with mentors. I worked with a spiritual teacher for many years. And in order to get the most out of your relationship with your spiritual teacher, you have to surrender. You have to open yourself up. And in many, many ways, that's also true of a coach. That if you are going to get the most out of that relationship, you have to suspend doubt. You have to trust them. Well, how do you know whether to trust your coach or not? How do you know that it's safe? And sometimes you get into a relationship and it sounds like they're really good on the surface and they've got the credentials and they seem to have the know-how, but that's not all there is to a coaching relationship, is it? There's more because they are literally rewiring your brain. They are making you think about things in very different ways. Now, I never really thought about this much when I first began coaching. Oftentimes, I would join these large programs in which you were lucky if you had any contact with the main person at all, except in passing. You were lucky if they even knew your name. But if you were going to work with a coach in a small group, if you're going to work with high-end programs as a VIP, then that relationship becomes more crucial. I happen to believe that a lot of coaches out there choose to work in business, being business coaches, because you don't, on the surface, it doesn't seem like you have to get intimate. You can just give them the facts, nothing but the facts, ma'am. But I was recently approached by somebody who wanted to create a website for me. Now, a website is a very, very intimate thing. It represents who you are in the world, what your message is. And in this new Aquarian age, where it's all about being unique, it's all about being your authentic self, your website actually needs to express who you really are. And if your coach doesn't know who you really are, if they're just treating you as another person to give a cookie cutter website to, that might not be what you want. You might want somebody who can see you, who understands you, who gets you, who not only understands and gets you, but really likes you and wants to see you succeed. Now, that is a very different level of coaching. It is the level of coaching that I have been working with for a very long time because I worked initially with people around grief and loss. Talk about intimate. I'm helping people rebuild their lives from the ground up. They share everything. They have shared everything with me. Their crushed dreams, their hurt, their pain, their despair. And I am there, have been there to help them recreate their life, reinvent who they are after loss. And I still do that, but that's where I focus on now mostly is where do you want to go from now? Where do you want to go with your life? What is holding you back? And that requires trust. That requires a certain amount of surrender to your coach. So how do you know if this is a person you need to surrender to? Well, one of the best ways to figure that out is how they make you feel. Do you feel worthy? Do you feel valuable? Do you feel important? Do you feel cared for? Now, I know cared for, it's like, whoa, where does that fit in with business coaching? And yet it's important because the biggest percentage of your success in business is how you feel about yourself. And if your coach doesn't get you, if your coach doesn't support who you are, then you need to look for another coach. It's not about just the nuts and bolts. The nuts and bolts are important, but they are only part of it. And if you are interested in nuts and bolts, you don't necessarily have to do a VIP with that person if that person isn't a match for you. So take your time, get to know your coach, or get to know the person you're thinking of having as a coach, and see how they feel. Now, to be sure, when you work with a coach, they may push you into areas and into action that doesn't feel comfortable. But then you want a coach that gets that about you, that can give you tools or directions or guidance to help you break through those barriers. Now, that was one of the problems with some of my earlier coaches, is that they were great on the nuts and bolts, but they did not get my emotional issues about showing up a particular way, about making an offer. They didn't get it because that wasn't their issue. And so how do you understand? How do you understand somebody else if you haven't gone through that yourself? That's why you want a coach who knows the territory, who's lived the life, that's walked the talk. So that's basically what I wanted to share today about intimacy, that your relationship with your coach is probably one of the most intimate relationships you're going to ever have. And you might want to check what people say about their coach. Do they talk about how, oh, they made me feel so very confident and they showed me exactly what to do? Or are they talking about their relationship? And, just like going on Amazon and seeing what the testimonials say about the socks or the new iPad, you want to hear what former clients are saying about the person that you're thinking about having a relationship with. Get to know them. See how they respond to you. Listen to what they say. How do they perceive the world? And if you have been following me on my Facebook group, you know that I put it all out there. If that works for you, reach out to me. If the way in which I see the cosmology of the universe, the way I see how we operate in this world, if that resonates with you, then you might want to have a talk with me. I have some really cool events coming up. And I'm going to go ahead and post them in the comment section, so that you can find out about that. But these are opportunities for you to connect with me more and directly. This is all I have to say for now. Be brilliant, open to intimacy. That's the subject for today, and bye for now.